Your business is engineered for success. So when it comes to your social performance, why should it be any different? What if there was a way to open a new direct channel of communication between your business and the whole community? Voconic uses cutting-edge engagement science methods and data science techniques to understand the voices that matter in real time. Voconic, turning complex science-backed data into simple people-based solutions.
Warimi. That means hello in Darug, the Sydney Basin language of our First Nations people. Today, I'm joining you from the Camaragal lands of the Eora Nation. I'd like to start by paying my respects to our First Nations people across Australia and their elders past, present and emerging. The feeling of belonging to a tribe is one of three fundamental human needs, and the need for food is another. So at Compass Group, we exist to bring communities together through food. We're privileged to work with our clients in Australia to nourish the bodies, minds and souls of people in every sector. Hospitals, schools, mining camps, corporate offices, factories and universities. Some of the workplaces we serve have 40 or 50 team members. So to ensure that each of our clients are partnered with and our services are tailored to the needs of our community, we operate with different brands. ESS, as many of you would know, is the brand that we serve the offshore and mining sector with. From small communities of 50 to 100 residents, right through to large communities of construction camps. We even have our own caravan park. But regardless of the scale of every site, we want to work with our workplace communities to operate within the broader ecosystem of their broader communities and embrace that to work in partnership to create social value. At a human level, belonging to a tribe is something that each of us understands and knows well. So as an industry community, change can come about through sharing experiences, facilitating understanding, and collaborating to promote meaningful engagement and true partnership with our communities. That's why I'm here today. I want to share with you our insights and learnings, what's worked and what hasn't, in building great communities beyond the walls of residential camps, to bring meaningful and sustainable benefit to the broader communities we operate in. We're not perfect, and we don't have all the answers. And despite great progress to date, there's still much work to be done. So I look forward to continuing to engage with everyone in our industry to accelerate change and partner on more initiatives like those I'll share today. Given diversity and inclusion is one of our fundamental values at Compass, our journey in partnering with communities started many years ago with a focus on Indigenous engagement and employing people with disability. We were a founding member of the Australian Network of Disability in 2000, and we've just celebrated 20 years of membership. Every year, we set targets to provide employment opportunities for people with disability, and every year for the last 4 years, we've exceeded those targets. There's still much to do and learn in this space, as 1 in 5 Australians associate themselves as living with a disability and are also part of our community. Compass Group was an inaugural corporate partner to the Indigenous Employment Parity Project Initiative, a federal government initiative launched in 2015 that invited employers to commit to ensuring 3% of their employees are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people by 2020. Our focus on Indigenous employment has seen us far exceed this target, and as of today, 9.4% of our mining and resources team are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. We're also committed to establishing ongoing business relationships with our First Nations partners and currently engage over 47 Indigenous business suppliers within our supply chain. Through this targeted engagement, our spend with Supply Nation Indigenous-owned businesses has grown on average by 180% a year. In 2020, we spent $13 million on Indigenous businesses across Australia, but it hasn't always been easy. So I'd like to talk about 2 case studies that share the social value outcomes that we're achieving in partnership with our clients. The first case study relates to our community building initiatives in Port Hedland. In 2017, only 2% of our Port Hedland team were employed locally. But through concerted capacity building initiatives, we're proud to say that today 41% of our team in Port Hedland are from local community. To achieve this result over such a short period, there were two key focus areas: Indigenous employment and local skill development. To support local Indigenous people looking to enter the workplace, we developed a 12-week work-ready program for local Indigenous job seekers, offering them training and employment opportunities. From 2017 to 2018, 12 local Indigenous job seekers undertook training, resulting in 9 being employed full-time and 2 taken on as apprentices. From a local skills development perspective, we developed partnerships with local training organisations. This brings local knowledge while engaging local businesses in support of our strategy. We partnered with the local TAFE apprentice chef program, as well as hosting high school students to help them gain their Certificate 2 in hospitality. By 2019, Compass enabled 60 students to complete their food safety training and 12 completed barista training supported by our culinary team at our Gateway site and BHP's Port Haven site. Through our efforts to buy locally, local procurement in Port Hedland increased between 2017 and 2019 by over $500,000. This came from shifting spend from our national supply chain to local businesses. Our procurement team found and incubated local businesses like Yarri Beef, a cattle producer based on Yarri Station south of Karratha. The team sourced this new local primary producer business and worked with our existing meat distributor to purchase the cattle and supply the meat to our Pilbara-based sites. A great example of how our extended supplier network and ecosystem can support our focus on community growth and development. Now, Onslow, with a local population of only 848 people, presented an interesting opportunity for building communities and increasing local employment. When we began our client contract, local employment from Onslow residents was 2%. Over the last year, this has risen to 21%, and we have plans in place to see this number rise again as we employ more of the local community. To support employment, we implemented the learnings from Port Hedland and also provided a 5-week work-ready program for Indigenous people who were looking for training and employment opportunities. This resulted in 19 local Indigenous job seekers being welcomed to our campus family. 4 apprentices have enrolled in our program, and we're excited about their growth and development over the next year. In Onslow, we took our Taste Life health and well-being program to local schools to educate students about nutrition, while our chefs made healthy snacks in the shape of monsters, which were a real hit. Our supply chain team worked actively with local suppliers to increase our local procurement, which saw a total cumulative spend increase of 150% in 2 years, benefiting the local community by millions of dollars. We grew our partnerships with Indigenous and local suppliers from 11 to 22, and engaged local businesses to supply large volume items such as fruit and vegetable produce, a substantial cleaning contract with a traditional owner business, as well as using local stores and services. What we've learned about making local procurement successful is that we often need to support capability building in key corporate processes like food safety and other compliance requirements. But that effort is really worthwhile and creates life-changing community benefit. As you've seen from these case studies, our approach to work in partnership with our clients, suppliers, and the community to bring everyone together and amplify the impact we can have. A key learning to date has been that a process of discovery is required within every community. It's essential to get a strong sense of the local community first. By doing so, it's possible to identify the best opportunities for making an impact and achieving a positive outcome for the local community. Every community is different, but we didn't always understand the importance of doing our due diligence before making commitments to the community and to our clients. Some years ago, we signed a contract with a client aiming to employ 50% of our team members locally. What we quickly learned is not to make assumptions about the demographics of one community based on previous experience in that region, because we hadn't actually met with key community members. A significant part of our contracted service was the provision of security, and we hadn't engaged sufficiently to understand that there were very few people in the community who could meet the compliance standards for obtaining a security license, which required obtaining a Certificate 3, crowd control licensing, and the necessary police clearances. So we weren't able to achieve what we set out to. These learnings have changed the way in which we think about and commit to our communities. We now map out community opportunities by identifying the community leaders, businesses, and cultural groups to inform the development of a specific and targeted local content or Australian industry participation plan. We start from the premise that each community is different and unique. So to summarise our approach to creating social value in communities, we have 4 key pillars. Firstly, employing local people, working directly with local job services, training organisations, and local agencies to source and pre-screen candidates. Secondly, providing training and upskilling. Pathways to employment can vary based on local population, skill base, and unemployment levels. It's been critical to have access to a range of training, development, and employment programs that suit different demographics. Thirdly, engaging local business. Transitioning supply chain or subcontracts to local businesses is an amazing way to indirectly improve local economy and employment opportunities. And fourthly, integration with the community, considering if we have a good understanding of what's important to this community, to its council, and to the local language groups. As with any program, it's key to plan and monitor. I've seen the best intentions fail because we didn't do this effectively. There are many ways to do this, and at Compass, we use a plan on a page. These plans are developed specifically for individual communities with clear goals, targets, and objectives, which are set to measure success. To action and monitor agreed tasks in our plan on a page, we've learned that establishing cross-functional teams with skills and expertise to deliver on the outcomes is key. We've also come to recognise the value of a local community engagement officer to proactively seek out opportunities and to interface between the village and the local community. This team member has insight into what's important to the local community, and over the years, we've learned that this insight is very helpful and can avoid missteps. Like any partnership, learning what's important to people, the culture, and where values align, we found that knowing these are all essential, and it's key to really building a sustainable partnership. For example, building a local pool may be something a company believes enhances the community that it's wanting to engage with. And it's easy to assume that a significant donation can help get that pool built. But what we have to think about is when the contract ends, or if we were to leave that community, then what happens to the pool? There might not be a source of funding to maintain the pool. So at Compass, we like to consider if investments are viable on a long-term basis. And we found it better to invest in programs like feeding children at schools. So even if we're no longer part of that community, those children have received the benefit of education, nutrition, and health and well-being. And our partnership with Clontarf is a great example of this. Now, access to healthy food is something that I'm passionate about bringing to remote communities, but it's a challenge that we're yet to solve. Indigenous people living in a remote community experience the poorest health of any population group in Australia. And according to the Menzies School of Health Research, fresh produce in Indigenous communities costs on average 30% more than in urban areas. So leveraging our supply chain, our purchasing power, and our partnerships with like-minded organisations, we want to see how we can get high quality, nutritious food into Indigenous communities at a reasonable price. So we're searching for partners that want to collaborate in this, and I'd be delighted to speak to anyone interested in also bringing about this change. Lastly today, I'd like to share something that I'm really proud of. In 2018, we began delivering pre-employment programs targeting the sourcing, recruitment, upskilling, and placement of unemployed women into our ESS remote and offshore mining operations. Called Launch into Work, we've now run 4 highly successful programs supporting 37 women to re-enter the workforce. Success we found is treating this group as a cohort, not just selecting them together and training them together, but placing them in work together. And we've really seen a lot of success in partnering with our clients to ensure that these candidates end up in the same workplace. And this has maintained a network of support for them and a community within a community. Here's a short video clip from one of our graduates talking about her experience.
I took part in the Launch into Work program in 2019. This has been a life-changing experience for myself and my children. Before I started the program, I was working 3 casual positions and I struggled to find full-time employment. Once accepted, I completed my Cert 2 in hospitality and I was then offered full-time employment at Spinifex Village in utilities. I'm proud to say that I am now a homeowner and I've been able to pay to put my children through high school. I'd like to thank everyone who was involved in the program.
Thanks for sharing your story, Lisa. Over the past 4 programs, we've also learned a lot about what success looks like. Originally, we measured retention as a success metric, investing, training, and placing people in work and hoping they'd stay employed with us. What we've learned was that this program is less about if they stay in work with us, but if they stay in work in general. We now partner with clients to attract, select, and train diverse candidates for their business, as well as our own. When we pick a cohort of people, we pick people interested not only in catering, but a range of employment streams aligned with our clients' roles, which they wish to attract more diverse candidates to. The sustained success of this national program has seen us take home a number of awards, which we hope raises the profile of these sorts of initiatives so that others can follow suit. We'd be happy to share more information on this program and how we can work with you to implement it at your workplace. But introducing and reintroducing new team members to our teams is just part of the journey. Creating inclusive communities so that all team members can thrive and grow is something we take very seriously. Alongside our clients, we've now put in place joint training with a focus on diversity and inclusion and respectful behaviours to tackle bullying, discrimination, and harassment of any kind. Safety was once seen as a box to tick and has now become fundamental to the way we work and the conditions in which we work. I'd love to see us all as an industry work together to get to the same point with community engagement, where it's how we work and integrated into what we do rather than a work stream in its own right. That's the shift I believe we need to make to accelerate progress in social value creation. So to continue thought leadership on this topic, we'd welcome further industry collaboration. Given it's a topic that each of us understands at a deeply human level as the need to belong to a tribe, let's collaborate to drive and contribute to the creation of long-term, sustainable employment and business opportunities that make a real difference to our people and their communities. Thank you so much for your time today.